They say electricity was discovered in the 1800s. But what if that's not true? What if thousands of years ago, before light bulbs, batteries, or even the concept of electricity itself, an ancient civilization had already mastered it? Deep in the heart of Egypt, carved into temple stone, lies an artifact that shouldn't exist. A depiction so precise, so disturbingly modern-looking, that it's forced some researchers to ask the unthinkable. Did the ancient Egyptians have access to electricity? Let's start with the Dendera Temple, a sprawling stone complex dedicated to the goddess Hathor. Inside one of its dark inner chambers is a mysterious carving known today as the Dendera Light. To the untrained eye, it might seem like mythological imagery, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It shows what appears to be a giant glass bulb, complete with a curling filament inside and a wire connected to a box-like device. Some interpretations even suggest a grounding rod or insulating column underneath. The resemblance to a modern-day light bulb isn't just close, it's nearly identical. Now, mainstream Egyptologists say it's symbolic. They argue it represents a lotus flower, a snake and a pillar, ancient symbols of fertility and creation. But here's the thing, that lotus flower has the exact profile of a vacuum tube. The snake is perfectly shaped like a filament, and the so-called pillar looks suspiciously like an insulator. Add to that a few surrounding figures appearing to operate or offer the device, and suddenly it doesn't feel mythological at all. It feels mechanical. But if that's not electricity, then what is it? Skeptics are quick to dismiss it as pareidolia, the brain seeing patterns where none exist. But that argument starts to fall apart when you realize the Dendera carving isn't an isolated case, because just a few countries away, another enigma was found, the Baghdad Battery. Discovered in Iraq, this 2,000-year-old clay jar contains a copper cylinder and iron rod. When filled with vinegar or wine, it produces an electric charge. It's rudimentary, yes, but it's functional. Some archaeologists believe it may have been used for electroplating. Others think it was ceremonial. But here's the bigger question. Why would ancient people build something that accidentally works like a battery, unless they understood what it did? Now, connect that back to Egypt. If Mesopotamians had early electrical tech, could the Egyptians have gone even further? Let's take this a step deeper. The Dendera temple relief isn't just one panel. It's a series of repeated images, carefully etched and lit with precision. That alone raises questions. These carvings are located in a room without windows, buried deep in stone corridors, which leads to another mystery historians can't fully explain. How did they light these rooms? There's no soot on the ceilings, no trace of oil lamps, no smoke damage, no torches. If fire wasn't the light source, what was? Some researchers proposed the use of mirrors, but physics doesn't support that. Light reflected through a tunnel of copper mirrors would lose intensity quickly. It's simply not bright enough to illuminate deep tombs or temple chambers. And that's where the Dendera light enters the conversation, not as metaphor, but as a possible literal solution. Now consider this. Many ancient Egyptian structures incorporate quartz-rich granite and electrically conductive limestone. These materials weren't chosen randomly. They were hauled across great distances at great cost. So why use them unless they served a purpose beyond decoration? And here's the twist. Some theorists suggest that Egypt's most iconic structure, The Great Pyramid of Giza wasn't just a tomb. In fact, no mummy has ever been found inside it. What if it wasn't a burial chamber, but a machine? Let's examine the blueprint. The Great Pyramid is built on top of a powerful underground aquifer. As water moves through the limestone beneath it, it generates piezoelectric energy, the same principle used in modern quartz watches. The pyramid's inner chambers are lined with granite, a conductor. The Queen's chamber contains traces of zinc and hydrochloric acid, chemicals that could have created a chemical reaction. And right above that, shafts that point directly at specific stars, perhaps functioning as resonance chambers or energetic conduits. Even stranger, Tesla himself believed the Great Pyramid was capable of generating wireless power. His Wardenclyffe Tower was modelled after its dimensions. So here's the million-dollar question. Were the pyramids power plants? Did ancient Egypt use the Earth's natural frequencies, amplified by architecture, to produce energy? And if so, what kind of energy? Was it electricity, sound, vibration? That brings us back to the dendrolite. What if it wasn't just a bulb, but a receiver, a way to store or channel ambient energy? What if it was part of a forgotten grid? The implications are enormous. If true, it means Egypt wasn't just advanced for its time. It may have been more advanced than we are now in understanding natural energy systems. A civilization that mastered clean, wireless energy thousands of years ago, and then lost it all. Why would they lose it? Some researchers suggest a cataclysm, natural disaster, war, or slow cultural erosion. Technologies were passed down as rituals, then forgotten. Knowledge turned into legend. Function turned into symbolism. And that's why the dendrolite is now interpreted as just a flower. But here's what's even more fascinating. Some ancient texts, like the Temple of Edfu inscriptions, speak of a primeval island where the gods taught early humans sacred knowledge, including the House of Energy. These texts hint at an older civilization predating Egypt with knowledge of harmonics, resonance, and celestial engineering. Could Egypt have inherited advanced knowledge from a long-lost people? If that sounds like wild speculation, consider this. We still don't know how the pyramids were built. Not conclusively. We can't replicate their precision with today's tools. We can't explain how 100-ton granite beams were lifted 200 feet into the air with no cranes, no wheels, and no engines. The deeper we dig, the less sense it makes. So maybe we've been asking the wrong questions. Instead of trying to force ancient accomplishments into modern narratives, maybe it's time to admit we don't know what they knew. Could the dendrolite be a clue to a deeper understanding of energy? Could the temples and pyramids of Egypt be encoded blueprints for a forgotten science? If we looked at their architecture not as tombs, but as technological devices, what would we find? The truth is, we may never know. But one thing's certain, the dendrolite, the Great Pyramid, the missing mummies, the conductive materials, the strange chemical traces, they're not accidents, they're signals. Signals from the past, waiting for us to pay attention. And if we finally do, we might discover that history isn't just incomplete, it's been suppressed. If this fascinates you, you'll want to see what we've uncovered about the pyramid's hidden chambers and their potential function as a global energy system. Subscribe now and don't miss what's coming next, because the deeper we go, the closer we get to a truth buried not just in sand, but in silence.